NFL Week 15 is here. I'm here with Ron, and I'm Cris, and we are going to have our weekly process discussion on the NFL. I termed Week 14 the WTF week. It was a painful week for me. How was the week for you, Ron?
Mostly excellent. Top two plays hit Thursday and early Sunday. 5-2 overall, all straight bets. Props actually lost a little. I didn't post any props on Sunday, so everybody's lucky I didn't post any props. I only seem to post some winning ones, but no, it was a very good week. Again, just lucky that there are very few things that were unexpected from my end. At some point, it's going to crash down, but it hasn't right now.
Oh, just buzz off. I don't want to hear about your good week.
Yeah, I knew I'd have to tread carefully, but from the football standpoint, happy with everything that's going on.
Well, if anybody hears any noise, I'm in the middle of chaos here. Right outside my window, there's a tractor and a bunch of workmen. I'm having my front of my house redone. It's been a very long and painful process. When you just got done building a house. Yeah. Do the surprises ever stop?
There's always something you can do. I mean, it's still not complete. There's still some stuff we want to do that we're going to do on the outside to spruce it up. Around here with the temperatures being 90 and 95 in the summer, it's tough to keep grass growing properly in the backyard. So that's something we have to work on. But yeah, I mean, there's literally anybody who owns a house knows there's always something to do.
It's been beyond ridiculous for my project. I won't go into the minutia, but it's just absolutely preposterous how every single day leads to new unforeseen issues and delays or quick decisions required, additional financial outlay, you name it. So trying to get my line services up to no avail.
Yeah, the sprinklers try hard, Russell. I know that, but it dries up quickly.
Let's see. I had a bunch of little stuff to talk about. I guess. Well, let's just go back into last week. We had. We started with. That's this week.
We started with your Lions.
Yeah, the Lions, and my week started off well too, or reasonably well.
I think on just about every show we talked about, and I kind of hinted about, hey, the Lions aren't going to lose this game. Dallas was due to regression. You heard me say that. There were some unbelievable NFL situations tied to Dallas not performing up to snuff in that particular game. And luckily it worked because not all situations are 100%.
Yeah, I remember listening to the one of the shows before the game started, and I texted one of the hosts. And I pointed out to him, I go, you're very rarely going to see situations so inviting like this when you see a team, two teams at their extremes facing each other, with Detroit looking its lowest and Dallas looking its highest. And that's a real opportunity. And I think we may have an opportunity like that or two this coming week ahead. So I don't know whether you've noticed that, but.
Yeah. Not all situations are exactly the same. One does stand out. One that you may otherwise be referring to you is not the same, but we could discuss that.
Yeah, also, we're not looking at the exact same things, but similar.
One of the joys of coming up with stuff out of the blue and why we have these conversations was I have no clue as to why I started talking about field goals last week. And all of a sudden I'm thinking, wow, they're going to set a field goal prop at 47.5 or 48.5. And there were 6 field goals or something in the 50s in that game, and all we needed was one. Don't we get extra credit?
I know, and sadly, I didn't even bet. I bet a losing prop in that game. I think I forget what it was. Maybe it wasn't that game, but was it? Oh, sacks! You got me on the under on the sacks, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I told you that it had some implied advantage in that one. They changed my sack props last week or two. They don't give me total number of sacks. They give me team sacks. So I couldn't even get involved in that. It's how many sacks will each individual team have. So I'm a little disappointed that they changed that. It's still a variable that I could use, but I like to do the team sacks, and it has not been available to me the last 2 weeks. That's why I haven't even talked about it on Sundays.
Yeah, I do very little player props, and one of the reasons is because it's so infuriating just to find them. It seems like it's like Yahtzee, and they put all the props in a little container and shake them up and just throw them onto their website, and you've got to find a way to navigate to find where they are this week. It's like,
yeah, it's all crazy. And then the ones you think are, I watched shows like you did, and everybody had the same 2 or 3 people that were definitely going over, and they all went under. So
yeah.
Overs are tough.
Washington and the Vikings was a big surprise to me. That was going to be the first game where the entire offensive contingent of the Washington was going to be together, and they laid a turd sandwich. They couldn't even score, and Minnesota looked like world beaters out of the blue again. Just more parity to deal with. Frustrating. On my behalf, I had Washington. They couldn't cover teasers. I had grabbed that line while they were still a dog, and they were just never in the game. And why Washington was even playing Daniels again is beyond me. It seems like they're ruining this kid's career before it even gets started. I feel bad for Washington fans because they may have seen the very best you're ever going to see from him.
Yeah. Well, it could be one of those situations that they had before with one of their other quarterbacks. Well, you hit me on my best 2 games because you asked me last week, was I going to hedge now that Daniels was going to be playing? And I said no, because quite frankly, I loved Minnesota in this particular game. The matchup analysis, some variables that fit Minnesota perfectly, especially everybody had them at their lowest spot when they were shut out the week before, but that was a terrible situation with a quarterback that had never played an NFL game, and we went the team total under in Minnesota the week before. This was such a good situation, I can't tell you. Those first 2 games were the cream of the crop for me. So was it a surprise that it was 31-0? Of course, it's a surprise, 31-0. But so far, no surprises from me. But we'll have a surprise coming shortly.
Another very annoying game. The Jets have been coming to play. They had 3-2 in their last 5 games, and Tyrod Taylor hurts himself. I lost 3 starting quarterbacks last week. I mean, it's 3 starting quarterbacks. Once again, another touchdown touchback, and horrible and touchdowns taken away for no reason in other games. It's just ridiculous. But the Jets completely no-showed. They admitted it afterward. It's just extremely frustrating.
So I wish I could blame it on Tyrod Taylor's injury, but they were out of the game before he even left the game. So, yeah, this was a loss for me. 5-2, and this was a loss. And it was not a play on the Jets for me. If I want to go back and say, would I make it again? Of course I'd make it again. I got a full 3 points. It was not a play for the Jets. It was a play against Miami based on historical stuff, situational stuff. And for whatever reason, the Jets just let Miami have their way, and it was a loss. I expected, if the Jets were going to lose this game, I expected it to be by 7, and I would lose the game, but it would be close. I didn't expect them to be down 21-0 right away. So, deserved loss for sure.
Yep. Tennessee and Cleveland, that was comically the only game I probably made money on in the early games, just by shopping alternate lines and monkeying around like that. But that was an amusing game. Cleveland comes back and has a chance to tie it, and they had a pretty an innovative two-pointer plan, but it just didn't pan out for them, and Tennessee came away with the win there.
Well, I can't add much to this. The joy of straight betting, which I know isn't sexy to a lot of people, is that you could ignore a lot of games. And I ignored this game until it was over, and then I looked at the box score and what happened and so on. Paid no attention to this game.
Oh my God, this Baltimore game! Pittsburgh's going to put me in my grave.
I love Pittsburgh. I know it's so crazy the way people generate different things as far as stigma. But my thing has always been long-term coaches give you long-term consistency in how they attack different games.
Frustrating. That was, I think I had a touchdown taken away and a touchdown touchback in that game, if I'm not mistaken. So double whammy there. Just fascinating. Jackson obviously is still hurt. We talked about that, and Pittsburgh just shows up whenever you least expect them to. So
7-8 for me on Pittsburgh game. 7-1 for me on Pittsburgh games this year. I expect to win money betting on Pittsburgh. Baltimore. I mean, why are we looking past the obvious? These teams are going to play close games no matter what. I think in some cases, when you have two coaches that have coached against each other, how many times now? 40 times, 40 different games. My suggestion would be don't get cute. And Henry had his 25 carries, and Baltimore still was not going to win via the spread. Ever were they going to win via the spread in this particular game?
Lamar did run for 48 yards, but there were situations where he was going down early and he wasn't running the way he normally would. And he was caught.
You're right.
And he was caught from behind on the final play of the game. And other times, he's just not himself.
He ran when the situation dictated that you need a first down, but he didn't run as part of the play. Like Justin Herbert with one arm had designed runs, and Lamar Jackson did not. That tells you everything.
Yeah. Seattle and Atlanta. That was just a whitewash, right? I forget what that score was.
37-9 was the score. I didn't pay much attention to it because I didn't have an interest betting wise in the game. I figured Atlanta at some point would get in their own way. And, kudos to Seattle for continually performing above expectations. Even in games everybody has them winning, they're winning by 28 points on the road against a team that had turned it around with a sack ratio, and Seattle said, so what?
Well, that game was tied at the half, and at the half, Atlanta was only plus 3.5 for the game. So that was a tale of two halves for sure.
Opening second half kickoff was returned for a touchdown.
That changes the pace.
Yeah, that changed everything. So like Atlanta said, oh, okay, that's it.
This Indianapolis situation is, Jacksonville's quietly been playing very well. They're probably one of the most disrespected teams in the league at this point. I think they're kind of liking their position. That seems to be the chatter, out from the locker room. Go ahead and dismiss us, forget about us, whatever. Just, we'll just take it game by game. Indianapolis, their defense put them out of the game, essentially. Daniel Jones went out. I think that was one of my three quarterbacks that went out in the first quarter. They're on their – obviously, they brought Rivers in. They're going to be rolling on the Rivers, maybe. And I was thinking about this, Ron. I go, between you and my wife, you guys weigh as much as Rivers does coming into camp this week.
Yeah, he looked pretty up there, didn't he?
Yeah, he's about 240. So between the two of you, that's you guys are one Rivers.
Probably true, because your wife's pretty thin. So for this game, I guess you heard me think, and I thought you were thinking the same thing on the shows we did last week, that this was a complete toss-up game. And I didn't expect to be involved in this game because it was a toss-up. I thought Jacksonville's defense was a little better than Indy's, but I probably, as strange as it may have seemed, I trusted Daniel Jones more than I trusted Trevor Lawrence. But Cris, you're going to have to tell me why the line went with up to 2.5 with juice and was plus 130 for Jacksonville on the money line. I know there's people out there. I didn't want to rant. I'm not going to rant too much today. I know there's people out there that keep saying you can't win on Sundays. But here's a case where, all else being equal, Jacksonville should not have been plus 130 on the money line. And that was the play to make in a dead even game. And Jacksonville won.
Well, you're a good Monday morning quarterback. That's all I got to say.
Well, and could you tell me why the line went up?
Because I think the Indianapolis was at a desperation point, and Jacksonville just wasn't getting the credit that they deserved. So,
didn't they have the same record coming in?
Well, you would think that there would be some bounce back up when these, from Indianapolis, with the way they started the season, but the trajectory seems to be straight down. Nobody's a believer in Jacksonville. They've had such wacky games, and Trevor's been so inconsistent that you can't count on him.
I feel like when I made the play on Sunday morning that how come I didn't make it before? So the Monday morning, it's easy to say, oh, Jacksonville was a better team. It wasn't really that. It's just, here's a team, Jacksonville, that had beat Indy 10 straight times at home or 11 straight times at home. They had the exact same record as Indy. They had a slightly better defense than Indy. I wouldn't say their offense was as good as Indy, but all things being equal, this should have been at worst a pick'em line. That's all I was saying with this. And watching the line go up, I'm saying, did I miss an injury? What happened in this game to cause a toss-up game to get to 2.5 minus 117, minus 120?
Well, I think it's just easy to say after the fact, because, Indianapolis could have made a game of it with some, there were situations that had them able to get back into the game that just, blew up in their face throughout the game. When you're throwing in a third string quarterback that, is inept, it didn't help things out much. Jacksonville seemed to run out of gas and was kind of inviting the comeback that was never able to happen.
No, I agree with you. It's easy to say in retrospect. There's no question that bet could have lost. But to me, the ROI and taking a toss-up game at plus 130 is a good value.
The Bears and the Packers, that was that was kind of an odd game. The Packers looked pretty darn good on offense, and I had the sensation that they were just playing around with the Bears in their defense. They could have their way with them. The defense strategy against the Packers was not very good, and I think Green Bay was just playing around with them. And sure, the game got close late, and the Green Bay defense is a little bit of a concern, is what I took out of that game. It was scary, and that was another situation. I think we talked about it last week, where you're in game and you're looking at the in-game line. I knew right away that there was an advantage to and again, it didn't pan out because, as I brought up last week with the Washington and Denver situation, you had to know and expect that the Bears were going to go for 2 if they tied that up, and plan accordingly. If you're protecting bets or if you're just playing the game, there was no way that game was going to overtime, and Ben Johnson admitted it afterward that they would have gone for 2. So the in-game lines were not reflecting that; they were reflecting a possible overtime. So another example of, hey, if you're playing in-game, what's going to happen? Is this game really going to get tied, or is somebody going for 2?
Mm-hmm. So I enjoyed this game from the sidelines because my numbers said no play on this game. And I came away with a different perspective. I came away with a lot of respect for the Bears. The Bears weren't in the perfect situation. They were down in the game and they kept coming back. And they fought really hard in this game. It could very, very easily have been 28-27 going for that 2-point conversion. I mean, they were right there. Not that they're going to quit. They didn't quit or anything. It's just that this is the first time in a long time that I felt the Bears belonged on the same level as teams like Green Bay and Detroit. So I came away impressed with the Bears.
Do you feel the Bears could stop the Green Bay offense?
Jordan Love's a pretty accurate quarterback. He gets into these fits where he throws cluster interceptions, but there were other days that he just lights it up. The Bears defense still has work to do, but they held them. I don't know if you call it hold them to 28 points. I had more confidence that Detroit could go tooth and nail offensively. I think Green Bay is a tough team to beat when you have Watson actually going deep and running these deep routes. And remember, Green Bay also had Reed back finally. So they had some guys who actually do not drop balls on the Green Bay Packer wide receiver. So Chicago got the best of Green Bay's offense, and they still almost pulled it out.
I had, it was funny. I think it was Griffin was commenting on Caleb's low completion percentage, and he attributes the low completion percentage to the fact that he has confidence and he's willing to take more risks, opposed to other quarterbacks that want to play too safe. And that was an interesting perspective. So
I will take the other side. I disagree. I think Caleb still doesn't see when people are open, and he waits, and then they're not open, and then he has to throw it away or he has to fire it or something like that. I don't think he throws wide receiver opens. He doesn't throw with anticipation. We saw some unbelievable throws this weekend. One again by Justin Herbert, just throwing with anticipation before the guy makes their break. And Caleb doesn't do that.
The Saints and the Buccaneers, a lot of sharp action on those Saints. Tampa Bay seems to be imploding a little bit themselves. It's going to be an interesting Thursday game. They've dropped 5 in a row against the spread. They've lost 4 out of 5 outright. And the Saints seem to maybe have a decent quarterback on their hands. What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, he's exceeding my expectations. He is a confident quarterback. We already knew he had a cannon for an arm, and to be able to keep that accuracy, that is great. My problem with this game and why I took the Saints and why I was happy to play places like BetUS kept the line at 9 is that Tampa does not, we've talked about it how many times, Tampa doesn't have a shutdown defense. They allow a lot of completions. They allow you to go downfield, and they hope you're going to make mistakes. And we've also talked about Tampa's coaching. This was just not a good matchup from Tampa's perspective. The only question was, would New Orleans shoot itself in the foot? And they didn't shoot it themselves in the foot, and they certainly stayed within 9, 8, or whatever the line was at the end, all the way through, and then they won the game.
Oh, Denver and the Raiders.
Glad I wasn't on this one, that late field goal.
That was, I thought it was just bizarre. I mean, I thought the video that was going around was a little bit overboard, but I cannot believe that they're calling that penalty in that situation. There wasn't time enough for them to even get to the line of scrimmage. So how are you calling that penalty in the first place? And it was just a bizarre ending. It didn't affect me personally, but just a wacky ending. And that's like the third or fourth wacky ending for the Raiders this season when you consider, teams punting from the Raider 29-yard line or just kneeing the ball with more than 2 minutes to go. I mean, it's just ridiculous how these Raider games seem to be ending.
Well, the Raiders are trending toward the bottom in the league, but my takeaway from this game is at what point can Denver actually pull away and win a game that they're so much better than the other team? I'm still a little disappointed in Denver, and we'll find out more with their rest of their schedule is pretty hard, but we'll find out more about them right now. They're winning a lot of games. Their stat sheet is wonderful, but this is, I guess in a way they were winning by margin most of the way in this particular game. I didn't pay that much of attention, but how come this game isn't like the Seattle game where Seattle kept the pedal to the metal and it's 37-9 and Denver ends up, 24-14 plus the 3 points at the end?
Well, the coaching philosophy there has always been is just to go at his own pace, and there may be something behind it. They're winning the way that Kansas City was winning last year. I mean, do you really have to win by margin? Is that you touched on what I made notes of looking into this week, and we'll talk about it. Is
okay.
Do they really have to win by margin? Is that really required?
Well, it's not required because you're not in the NCAA playoff picture. So I guess it's okay.
The Rams and the Cardinals, I don't think there's anything to discuss there.
Yeah, it was a pretty easy win. The line went as high as 10.5. So that was my second loser, adding a token play at plus 10.5.
The Buffalo was scary. I had Buffalo money line, and I was sweating that one out, and that quickly turned. That went back and forth. Buffalo somehow looked dead, and then went up by 10. And you're wondering, what the is Cincinnati going to even get the cover? And they did, but another wild game there.
Yeah, we have a lot to figure out about Buffalo. Where do they belong in the playoff race? Where down the road, probably not this week, we'll talk about teams and their playoff Super Bowl profile. It's a weird game for Buffalo, but I understand Buffalo Cincy. In retrospect, if I had to do something over it, well, I guess I wouldn't do it because the line was so high, 53 for the over-under. But it figured to be a high-scoring game. I think us and a lot of shows out there have correctly noted that Joe Burrow doesn't play defense. It's a fatal flaw for Joe Burrow and a fatal flaw for Cincinnati. So they're always in trouble because they have such a bad defense. Competitive game, that's all I could say. Nothing else wasn't involved.
Well, if I had told you at the beginning of the season that more than likely Mahomes and Jackson and Burrow would not be interfering with your playoff, route, how much would you have been willing to bet that Buffalo was just a stone cold lock to come out of that AFC? And they're not. So it's a really interesting way to look at this season that even with all those advantages that they would have begged for at the beginning of the season, they're not in a position to take advantage of it as well as we would have thought.
Playoff podcasts and playoff metrics and how we approach this year's playoffs, I think it's going to be fascinating because I think there's going to be two-way action on a lot of games.
This is going to be a very interesting playoff season, to say the least. I'm looking forward to that part of it, I guess.
Yeah.
Houston and Kansas City, that had some of the most amusing line movement that I've seen in a while. And I kind of figured it out. I said, there's just the somehow this line movement is indicating that it's not going to be a close game, and it isn't going to be Kansas City. And I told a couple of people before the game, this is going to be a Houston blowout. I can tell by the line movement, and wasn't able to take advantage of it really. I mean, I had Houston in the game, and Kansas City blew out teasers. I had both sides teased, so that was a real pisser. But I had a lot of in-game. I was betting a lot of in-game on Houston to protect against those Kansas City teasers blowing out. So it wasn't a complete disaster, but just odd. It looked like Houston. How Andy Reid could go for that was worse than any Dan Campbell decision we've ever seen. And then for him to double down on it the next day, saying he'd do it again. Are you out of your mind? Houston couldn't get a first down, and you're giving them life. Send them. Put them in their own 20 and see if they can go the distance to the field. And if you have that confidence in your team, and Houston, there was enough time that even if Houston somehow miraculously was able to go down the field and score, Kansas City still would have had time on the clock. There was no need for it.
Yeah. People who know me well enough know I love games involving defensive strategy and where defense really rules. And you saw two quarterbacks who had a lot of difficulty completing passes, not because of wide receiver drops or stupid this or that or whatever. It was because Houston's defense, and KC's defense for that matter, really stepped up to the plate. So in today's era of everything's for the offense, to see a game as played like this, where Mahomes could not complete 50% of his passes, was a lot of fun to watch. And I didn't have action on the game. I got scared as far as betting Houston. It was one of those situations where, the line probably shouldn't have gone to 4 or 4.5 or 5. I could have justified it that way, but I still wanted to see. It was different than Jacksonville, who had owned Indianapolis at home. Houston still, for me, had to get over the hump and prove that it could beat Kansas City. And now it did prove it. So, okay, they proved it. I don't have a regret not playing Houston, but I loved watching the game and I love watching the chess match. And it's just funny because Kansas City has more offensive weapons this year than last year. And what's their record? 6-7. It's pretty crazy to think that. And Houston now one game away from leading in a division when they were 0-3 to start the year. So a fascinating game for me.
Well, I think there was a fair amount of dropped balls that hurt Mahomes. I mean, it was his lowest rated.
I know Kelsey dropped a few, and Kelsey gets into these ruts.
I think Mahomes had his lowest passer rating game of his career, if I'm not mistaken. But they should. I mean, the dropped balls were extremely noticeable, and they were always important. Fourth down. Late in the game, it was just ridiculous. But when you see that heavy late push NFL money, more times than not, that's you can't trust that move when it's like all the public just pouring it in as much as they can. It just doesn't go that way.
No, it was the right move to take Houston. I just didn't pull the trigger. That's just the way it is.
Philadelphia and the Chargers. That was amusing or interesting in so many different ways. I had the Chargers the better team. I expected them to win. I did not expect the mobility and the effectiveness of Herbert, in running. And that was the entire difference of the game, that they were willing to put him out there, and he made some key plays, being able to be mobile.
Yeah, that was amazing to watch. That he was trying to lift his hand up so it wouldn't be tackled, but any defense is going to try to tackle that arm whenever they can. A couple things I noticed in this game, one of which was the Chargers have very good route runners, but against a really, really good pass defense like Philly, they couldn't get separation. Literally, Herbert didn't have people open, whether it be McConkey or Allen or Gadsden or whatever. I thought that was a tribute to the way Philly was playing defense. So the fact that Herbert called his own number and was willing to run and stuff like that, he willed them to victory. Again, kicking mattered. The LA Charger kicker, what was he, 5 for 5 or something like that, kicking from everywhere. He's the all-time leading right now percentage kicker in the NFL. Again, special teams mattered. And there's just something going on with Jalen Hurts. You've mentioned it more than I have, but Jalen Hurts, he just seems like out of it some games.
Yeah, I think they're going to draft a quarterback next year, and I'm just happy the game landed. My weekend was so bad that the game landed perfectly for me, and it still only helped so much. What do you think about Michigan needing a new head coach?
Michigan needing a new head coach?
Yeah.
Why? What's wrong with the current coach?
They booted Sharon Moore.
Did I miss something?
Apparently. This is old news. It's been out minutes.
I have to look that up. Go ahead and talk.
That's kind of odd for them. That changes the whole head coach hiring spectrum, doesn't it?
I don't see him as out.
He's as dead as disco. He's gone.
Okay, well, I'll have to look. Somebody will have to recognize that for me as to whether he's out or not out. We're getting reports from the dog, so that's good.
Gizmo. Shh. That's his Gizmo's annual appearance.
Okay. No, I didn't hear anything related to Michigan.
Well, I thought you would have had some good feedback on that, but let's see. Anything else from last week?
No, obviously a bunch of key games, still undecided. Just because Pittsburgh won doesn't mean they're going to win the division. Just because Jacksonville won doesn't mean they're going to win the division. A lot of things were kind of important games, but in some ways they weren't as important when you see that there's still 4 important games left on every team's schedule.
Yeah, there's a few situations where teams lost and they're not as dead as you would have thought they are. And, some teams keep coming back from the grave. Let's see. We talked about Andy Reid.
Well, I'm just seeing this thing. Why are we kidding?
What?
About Sharon Moore being fired?
Well, I think you would have thought they would have given him one more year.
What did he do wrong? He won 9 games. I mean, I don't think he's the best coach in the entire universe, but
that does seem to be a little.
I thought people played hard for him. He understood defense. I thought I actually improved my opinion of him after listening to him speak at Media Day.
Well, they have to have something in mind. Why else would they do it?
Yeah.
I mean, if they don't have a coach lined up right now, then why would they have done that? And who's available?
Agree. If that's true, that's the 29th head coaching change this year. I set the number a long time ago at 27.5, which would have been a near record, if not a record. And we've already passed that.
Well, would you agree that if they don't? Would you agree if they don't have a coach already lined up that this is like insanity?
The only way it could be justified is if there's something that will come out about off the field stuff. Wow. All right. Well,
Lamar
we'll get
Jackson
some of it.
did not play today.
Oh, yeah. This is Wednesday, you never know.
The refereeing is I mean, it's a broken record, and it's dominating my timelines more and more each week as we go along. I mean, when you even have the booths, interrupting the calls and changing calls and getting them wrong. I mean, it's getting completely ridiculous at this point.
The thing I'm noticing more, college and NFL actually, is that the people, they have that analyst in the booth, and the fact that they are willing, and it just seems like more and more saying, no, that was not the right call. Just more the last 2 weeks, especially.
So they're saying Lamar Jackson just had a rest day and has no injury listed this week.
Yeah.
Do you believe that he's not injured?
I believe he's playing.
Do you believe he's not injured?
I believe he's not fully recovered.
Yeah.
But he's playing.
So can you remember a week where we have two teams playing at home that are on 10-game winning streaks that are underdogs?
Whoa. That's a first. That has to be a first.
Isn't that amazing? Two teams, 10-game winning streaks, are playing at home and are underdogs.
That's a crazy stat. Those are both good games.
Atlanta, there will be no London, and Tampa 0-5 against the spread, 1-4. Short week. Tampa Bay's playoff chances fall to 47% if they lose this game, and it's only 78% at this point, even if they win the game.
Well, they're just not playing well. They're not on all cylinders. And I know Carolina has been 1 week great and 1 week not great, but in general, Carolina has earned the right to be considered now in that division.
They did bring back Evans has been activated, and
yeah, that's great news because he's a contested catch perfectionist.
Yeah, so that should help a little bit. What do you think is Baker a good candidate for over on the rushing total? That seems to be a popular prop.
Well, I try to stay away from overs unless absolutely necessary, so I wouldn't even look at it personally. I haven't even scouted it, haven't even done anything regarding it, so can't help you with that one. We'll talk about fatigue, though. If you look at Atlanta, who had a very early bye, then they went last few games, they went to Berlin. They did not take a week off after Berlin because they already had their week off earlier. So they had a home game after that, then 2 road games, then a home game. Now they're going back on the road in a short week. And they're going, and it's not just that they're doing this off a big losing streak, which means team morale is at a pretty low point for Atlanta. I'm not going to trust Tampa, but I'm just pointing it out that Atlanta's situation is such that we should be looking at a new staff next year.
Yeah, I have Morris gone listed here. I think that's pretty evident. That's long overdue, in my opinion. Divisional matchup. Anything on the total?
44.5. Is that what we're showing?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, sometimes these games are sloppy on a Thursday, especially with two teams that are sloppy to begin with. I guess it depends on what you think of Kirk Cousins at this point in the season and in this point in his career. He hasn't wowed people.
Who backs up Cousins at this point?
Good question. Let's see if City or some of the others can give us a quick read on who backs up Cousins.
And Pitts is questionable. There's something wrong with him in this game too.
Mm. It's not April 1st, is it? Sharon Moore is really gone?
Is it Easton Stick?
Oh, okay. Former Charger.
I don't know.
Terminated with cause following a university investigation.
Oh, really?
Inappropriate relationship with a staff member.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Way to give up millions and millions of dollars.
Wow.
Breaking news.
So they're screwed. They don't even have a coach lined up then.
No. It had to be, like I said, it had to be fired for cause for this to happen just like that, if it's not a gag.
Arizona and Houston. Houston's playoff chances are up to 94% if they win this game.
Wow. What's happening with Marvin Harrison? Is he ever going to play again?
I don't think so. And Ertz is no. Is Ertz on that team?
No, I think it's Washington.
Oh yeah, that's right. But they're still a mash unit. They gave up 7.9 yards per play last game. They're losing players left and right. They've got like basically nobody.
Yeah, for Houston, I'd say this is probably a letdown spot, but not a look ahead spot. They've done so much to get into the situation they're in, and they've beaten some high quality teams with high quality quarterbacks. Now they have Vegas after this, so Houston's not looking past Arizona, but there's got to be a natural body letdown saying, hey, we're playing Arizona. They're going nowhere.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't be laying the 10 points or 9.5 here, but I think Houston. I think they're just a phenomenal teaser consideration here.
Yeah, I think they're going to be teased a lot. The situation with Arizona is Brissett is passing the ball almost 50 times a game, I think. See if I have my numbers. 234 times the last 5 games. That's 47 attempts per game. They have zero faith in Bam Knight, their running back.
So the Raiders with Kenny Pickett play a team on fire, the Eagles, who are going to help us win that under 11.5.
Boy, we're so close now. Can you believe it?
That was dead. I can't believe it.
Yeah. I said it was going to be used as a paper napkin, but schedule's not hard coming in because they have dysfunctional Washington twice in Vegas, but they do play at Buffalo.
Yeah, I think this is another teaser candidate before it went up to 13. Well, there's 11.5s available.
Yeah. Common theme in the first 5 games we're going to talk about, the road team is horrible.
Yep, you're right. I got nothing. Not much to say on this game. Yeah, I think we saw shitty coaching again by Philly last game too.
Yeah, there's not much to say is right, and there are no situations that I could talk about that make me want to say anything about the game.
Brady, Cook, and the Jets, do they have any hope?
Oh boy, they let me down last week. I don't know. I mean, that's wrapping my head around the fact that Jacksonville was such a big favorite in 2025 is hard. But it's the correct line. It's on my number.
Jacksonville +3 turnovers, 5-1 in their last 6 games quietly. Playing with a chip on their shoulder, but Jacksonville laying 13 points.
That's an
After
awful lot.
the Jets laying that turd.
I know. And the Jets here's the stats again, minus 15 turnovers. The Jets still, right now, 13 games played, right? 0 defensive interceptions.
It's amazing.
I don't know what's going on with them because their pass defense is middle of the pack in terms of percentage allowed, but they can't intercept the ball. If you can't intercept the ball, if you can't turn the other team over, you're in big trouble when you have inept quarterback play. And we don't even know who's going to line up at quarterback this week.
Well, it's been strange line movement up and down between 12.5 and 13.5. A 14 would interest me for sure, though.
Yeah, I'm going to stay away because the Jets typically have not played well after playing Miami. They get up for these divisional games. I'm sure they thought
they didn't get up for this divisional game.
Yeah. Well, this isn't a divisional game, obviously, but the Miami one was. And I think the Jets thought that they were going to win this game. And then they were blown out from the start.
Hector points out Breece Hall is not practicing.
I hadn't heard any injury thing there. Ron, what does it say? Would I take +14? No, I will not. I will try desperately to leave this game alone. I would take 15 would be 13. 15.5. I would take it because it would be a power play.
Oh, brother.
I'm hoping desperately. That's the beauty of straight betting. I could not take the Jets game, and then after the Jets lose 27-11, I could say I'm glad I wasn't on that game.
How do the Bears respond after that Green Bay?
Well, it's weird because it's not after Green Bay. It's also after this comes Green Bay again. This is a Green Bay sandwich. Think about that.
And the Browns are the meat, huh?
Yeah. It's a very weird situation. Obviously, they want to take care of business because weren't they the number 1 seed a week ago and now they're number 7?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's, they're 1 foot away from, and Detroit, could pass Chicago. I mean, Chicago could be out of the playoffs, and to me, it wouldn't take away from a pretty good season they had, but to the Bears, when they were having such high hopes, it would take away. So they don't want to lose this game.
Well, what's interesting on that is if you compare them to the Lions have been out of the playoffs, and the Bears were the number 1 seed. And if the Bears lose this week, their odds are lower than the Lions' odds to make the playoffs, even if the Lions lose this week. And even if the Bears win this week, their odds of making the playoffs are not as high as the Lions if the Lions win this week.
Yeah, it's understandable. I think they have a tough, after Green Bay, what else do they have? They have at San Francisco, and then the big game, which might be the play-in game, is against Detroit. They host Detroit week 18.
Boy, that's going to be a hell of a freaking game.
Yeah.
What a storyline.
Yeah, that's true. That could be your Sunday nighter to close the season. There's 3 or 4 in play. We're not going to have as many playoff spots possibly locked up, or at least maybe. I mean, there's going to be a lot at stake this year compared to last year. Let's put it that.
Yep. I think the line is factored in a little bit of a letdown for the Bears because I think this line should be higher than it is. But I certainly am not jumping up and down to bet a minus, a touchdown or more.
So I guess you have pretty good vision, right?
I don't know about that.
Because you're reading my writing right here.
Oh.
It's exactly what I said. I set the line higher than 7.5. The line should be 9.5. perhaps the divisional sandwich is why odds makers have made this the number.
Yeah. So I think it's a great teaser game. I think they'll come out of there with the win, but
yeah, Cleveland hasn't always been reliable on the road to begin with. So I don't think I'd look at Cleveland. I mean, we have a lot of high spreads this week. The last 4 games we've discussed are all over a touchdown.
so Buffalo didn't punt last week, huh?
Oh, there's a question there. Packers for life, or Omar. He says he likes the under in the Brown Bears game, and what the wind chill factor has this game at -10 currently.
Do they?
Yeah, just happened to read that while sitting this morning. Wind chill factor -10. Temperatures hovering around 10 degrees at game time. That's what was pointed out to me. I didn't verify it. So I wouldn't, I would say the under would be in play.
Yeah, game time temperature 13 to 15, 14, 15 mile an hour winds. So that would certainly put the wind chill below 0.
So it dropped 3 points, the over under, from 41 to 38.
Yeah, I snagged a sleeping shop, some under 40 and a half, just because it had value.
Yeah.
So the Patriots on their longest winning streak since 2015, coming off the bye. They've got Hussey as the referee, and I bring him up just because home teams are 47-16 when he's the ref.
Wow.
That's 69%, and 42-19 against the spread. But there's also a very interesting trend with teams going into the bye on 10-game winning streaks. Coming out of the bye, they don't fare well. So you can argue trends both directions in this game. And you've got the revenge factor with Buffalo.
See, there you go again, reading my writing. Very, very nice job. I have situations favoring both sides. I can make a case based on matchup analysis for both sides. Buffalo has a strength that will beat New England. New England has a strength that will beat Buffalo. And what is it? New England has played only twice since November 13th. They had both the mini bye and the full bye in the last month. So they are the ultimate rested team and probably can complain the least about injuries compared to almost any other team in the NFL right now. I think it's going to be a good game. But this is a game.
Where do you think the line moves here?
See, that's good. That's good. You led me right into this. You're on your game today. Absolutely. Because this is a game that instead of playing Monday morning quarterback, let's play, Wednesday afternoon quarterback. I'm going to be watching this line movement Saturday night and Monday morning because I don't think there's a reason for this line to move 1.5 points in either direction. I'm curious if it will.
Yeah, I said that to somebody yesterday. I go, this line should ping pong back and forth between 1.
Yeah.
And that's about it. Why would it move any more than that?
So if Buffalo ends up a 2.5 point favorite for whatever reason, wouldn't the New England money line be attractive?
Yeah. And you can actually, let's see here. You can actually tease both teams right now in the marketplace because you've got a 1.5 at DraftKings with New England, and then you've got 1s on Buffalo, and 1.5 at Boyd or FanDuel. So,
yeah. Now it'd be interesting, and if it goes the other way, where New England starts getting steam, then you get in. For me, at least personally, if it gets too high, then Buffalo has value as a power play. So this is one of those that I have no interest right now other than watching the game, but I'm very curious to see what the line movement might be at the end.
Well, we know that you like New England if it were to get up to 2.5. What happens if New England becomes a 2.5 point favorite?
Same thing. I'll take Buffalo.
Okay.
Money line.
What's your magic money line number? 130, 120?
Have to assign percentages. I would say right in between that. I'd love to get 125.
Well, you can get, I can see a plus 105 on New England is best in market.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's pretty dead for money line. Diggs against his old team. Of course, we had that before City because they played once before and New England took care of Buffalo.
Lions awarded Jalen Mills off waivers.
Ooh, let's put him in the Super Bowl.
You think?
Yeah, Jalen Mills, that's it. Case closed. I don't think so. Brian Branch, we're not there to the Lion game yet, are we?
No.
No, okay. Brian Branch out is a big deal, though.
That is a big deal. Ravens, 46% chance of making the playoffs if they can win this game.
Here's a question for you, Chris. Are people still thinking of the Ravens like the old Ravens and not taking into account what they look like this year?
I think so. I think, you know what? They really got jobbed last game, though. I mean,
who's to say, though? I understand everybody's point that way, but who's to say that Pittsburgh doesn't come right down and score on this team? Even if they get behind.
Had their way with the defense. So I don't understand how they went so many games allowing 20 or fewer points. And now all of a sudden, you know, their defense is a turnstile. They even made Aaron Rodgers look good.
They are 30th in the league at sacking opposing quarterbacks. That's Baltimore. They've never been 30th in the league in that category. Their pass defense is, you know, upper middle of the pack or whatever. Their run defense isn't anything special. They're allowing 24.5 points per game, even with their recent quote unquote hotspot. I think people have to be careful. If you take the name off the jersey, they look like a team that's 7-6, 6-7.
I still don't have the Baltimore defense overall sinking much.
Are they in your? But where are they? They're not in your top 10, are they?
No. But remember, they were at the bottom.
Yeah.
They're like 19th.
I was going to say the same thing. I would have them probably close to 20.
Cincinnati is dead last.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. I mean, they can't stop the run. They can't stop the pass. They can't sack the quarterback either. They have one more sack than Baltimore does. They don't even have Trey Hendrickson for almost the entire year, and they have one more sack than Baltimore.
Now, the second to worst team in the league in defense is kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. Who's your second to last?
I never rank them that way, so I have to look manually at my chart. I know Dallas would be pretty low.
That's who I was looking for. Dallas, yeah. 31.
Yeah. I mean, that sticks out right away. I don't know if they would be 31 with me, but they would be 27-30 probably. See, they're down there. I'd have to look at all the other ones. The New York Giants have a horrendous defense.
Yep. Well, the two out of the bottom four teams play each other this week.
Yeah, that's a good game. Yeah,
So
so I don't know if we close the book on Cincinnati. Joe Burrow still doesn't play defense, so it'll be a fascinating game.
Chargers and the Chiefs. We've got Hockley as the ref. He's extreme under. James like to go under in his games. Four, and I'll ask. This seems to be the exact same question: is take off the uniforms and how are the Chargers getting 4.5?
Yeah, I expected inflate in this game because my numbers say Chargers should be 3, but I set it at 4. And the reason I set it at 4 is because this is completely different for Justin Herbert this week compared to last week. Last week he had an extra 30 hours, right? Doesn't play 1:00 on Sunday. He plays at night on Monday. Now they're done on Monday. They come in on Tuesday. They have to travel to Kansas City and play a Sunday game.
Good point.
And they're not going to play, in perfect weather probably. I don't know what Kansas City's weather is going to be like, but Justin Herbert's going to be hit. And Justin Herbert still has to do an awful lot for this team. It's just a very hard scheduling situation for the Chargers. That's the only reason I said it more than – that's why you use power ratings as a great reference, but not as gospel, because there's other factors you have to consider.
Weather. Oh, it's going to be a balmy 23.
No, that's good that's football weather, but it's not going to be fun.
Yeah.
I got a stat for you that seldom comes into play. Kansas City with same season revenge, 31-16 against the spread.
Did the Chargers already beat them once? Oh, that early in the season, right?
Right. Out of the country.
Well, while we were babbling, they've been betting this Atlanta-Tampa under a little bit.
Okay. I think it makes a little bit of sense, but I have no interest.
Let's see. So you will not be participating in this game.
No.
The Chargers' playoff chance is reduced to 65% with a loss. Kansas City's would increase to 19% or go down to 1%. And the Chargers would be 94% with a win.
Actually, I can't automatically say I won't be participating. I would consider the Chiefs' money line in some sort of parlay if something comes up. I'm keeping my options open with KC because I do think they have enough of a scheduling advantage in this game that they're going to, and the revenge factor. And then I'm looking at the stat sheet and I'm matching up the stat sheets. And the one thing that jumps out is not in favor of Kansas City. It's that the Chargers have been sat, and we know the offensive line of the Chargers is a mash unit. It's unfortunate, but they lost another player to injury in the last game, and Kansas City did too. But the Chargers have allowed 47 sacks this year.
And Kansas City lost their best defender, didn't they?
Who is that? Help me.
I forget. The guy that went out last game.
Don't remember. Not on the defensive
line.
Right?
McDuffie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He's a good cover guy, but they're going to try to get home with the rush.
Yeah. So 2 of the worst defenses in the league match up. The Turds versus the Giants. They were the Turds last week.
Yeah.
Teams that have been shut out this season are 4-0 the following game. Is Washington going to follow suit?
Yeah, 4-0 is interesting, and Washington has a an interesting situation that is okay in terms of the fact that their offense should wake up depending on who who's on the field. McLaurin hasn't been on the field. A lot of people haven't been on the field. But there's another team specific situation that I have that does not like Washington in this game.
So you're all over the Giants like a bad rash, you say?
Yeah, my maximum bet $1.50 on the Giants. Yeah, no. What's interesting is there's still that Jackson Dart factor that I kind of like. That the team still and the home crowd is still kind of interested in him, because typically I hate betting the Giants at home. They're money burners at home. But we saw a little bit of life when they inserted Jackson Dart. Obviously, as soon as Russell Wilson goes into the lineup, you live bet the other team. But as long as you have Jackson Dart in the lineup, maybe the fans show up and they try to get behind him and they hope for the future and stuff like that. Really, the only side I'm looking at is the Giants in this game.
Well, I think our comments moved the DraftKings line because they've shifted the Buffalo to the favorite, -1.5.
1.5?
Yeah.
Wow.
But they're doing that for a specific reason. They usually always have a 1.5.
They don't like ties?
They have, every one of their spreads are half points.
Okay. Well, it's nice that a book does that a little bit.
It's great for teasers.
The one thing that happened to prop betting that changed my percentage from mid 60s to high 50s is when they did away with the whole numbers on receptions. When they used to put people at over 4 receptions or over 5 or under 4 or under 5, when they use whole numbers, it was so magical how you could side and middle that stuff. And as soon as all the books got rid of using whole numbers for number of receptions, it hurt my market.
I thought I feel like I see those though. Don't they like 4 plus, something like that?
Oh, if you do it that, yeah, but that's the 4 plus means the same as 3.5. Four is a winner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, they just moved that total up to 50.5. There's 49s on that New England.
Must be good weather.
This is one of those games that you've got a team looking their best versus a team looking their weakest. This look ahead line was 2.5. Do you feel that it's an appropriate adjustment to move the line from 2.5 up to 13.5 or 14 based on Daniel Jones? Is Daniel Jones a 10, 11 point quarterback?
Not normally, but the backup is.
They're going to be rolling on the rivers.
Is it Brady Cook? Is that what I heard is the backup? So I would probably
Riley Leonard is the backup.
Riley Leonard, okay, the Notre Dame
he did practice.
Duke and Notre Dame,
and it looks like he will be available, but they have not decided if Rivers will make an appearance.
Okay, so for Riley Leonard, it's very subjective because, first of all, you have to say who they're playing. Seattle, well, that's a pretty tough defense to begin with. Riley Leonard can run the ball. Is he going to run the ball against Seattle? Probably not, because Seattle's a top 10 run defense. Is he going to pass the ball? Well, he doesn't have NFL experience to pass the ball. So if Indy was playing a different kind of team, it's less of an adjustment. But against Seattle, 22, 20.5. Yeah, I would say 13 would be what I would probably guess would be the right line. I just don't have an interest.
Oh. We have 2 games. I forgot to mention this on the first game.
Yeah.
I forget what the number is, but it's in the over 60 percentile return on investment.
Uh-huh.
It's the same situation with the Jets. It's a backup quarterback making a first start on the road.
And that's a positive or negative?
It's a positive.
Okay.
It's a strong positive because people just think that the guy's got no hope and the lines are way overinflated.
Okay, so there are 23 other people on the team. And let me give you this and tell me if it means nothing to you or if it means something to you. And this is a good debate topic because this is something that you can't automatically factor in the line. Indianapolis, everybody knows where they play their games, right? Middle of the United States, roughly. They go to Jacksonville, down to South Florida, or in Florida somewhere last week. Now they're going all the way. They go home, then they go to Pacific Northwest this week. Meaningful or not?
I don't think it's as meaningful as it used to be. I mean, they travel first class. Their hotel accommodations are taken care of. They don't carry their own bags. They eat nice food. They're organized. They don't have family distractions.
A little bit of time difference, though. Or internal clock or whatever.
Yeah, well, it's an afternoon game, though.
Yeah. I just mentioned it. It's not necessarily a factor, especially when you're talking about a 13-point spread or whatever. But it's interesting. The NFL chose to make this kind of schedule.
Yeah, that is. I'm glad you pointed that out. That's a good observation there. Packers and the Broncos. 10-game winning streak, and you're a home underdog. That's a little disrespectful.
Yeah, could be so. What do you want to talk about?
I'm just looking at my notes. I think Green Bay. I think Green Bay looks pretty darn strong. As far as my numbers go, I don't have an advantage. This is actually where I had the line, so I'm curious to see where this line ends up. You can get 3 in the marketplace right now, laying minus 120. That seems high.
I think this will trend down.
You can get plus 125 on Denver, multiple places.
It's been done.
You already bet him plus 125?
What can I say about this game? I like Denver. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
I have like 17 different reasons.
I think this line cannot go up. I think it has to come down.
Yeah, I underset it because of the situations and my feeling or whatever. If you look solely at power ratings, I would have set it Green Bay minus 1.5.
That's it. They're coming off the big game against Chicago. That was an important game. It's in a divisional sandwich game.
Yep, they got Chicago again.
Here's something. Even with a loss, the Packers are 88% to make the playoffs. So they don't have that extreme pressure.
Yeah, it's much more important for them to win against Chicago. Divisional game. Remember, Green Bay has the tie, so they're not going to be involved in tiebreakers with Detroit and Chicago. Sure, right. They'd love to win this game because, they're vying for, as close as they can to a number 2-3 seed and to win the division. And Detroit's, a viable team, obviously, too. But It's not do or die for Green Bay. It'll be interesting to see Jordan Love against this kind of pressure and this kind of pass defense, because Green Bay protects its quarterback. I mean, they're great at that. And Denver's obviously number one again in getting to the quarterback. So that's strength versus strength. For historians, in something that's relatively meaningless, Green Bay is 1-7, 1 win, 7 losses at Denver.
Yeah, Denver's not the easiest place to play. Yeah, I can lay minus 125, or I can take plus 125.
You could move money around.
I think I'm going to grab some of that 125.
Yeah, I took the +3, just like you said, and I took the money line.
Carolina and the Saints. Carolina off the bye, if I'm not mistaken, in that huge Rams victory.
Yeah. It's the NFC South, when they have divisional games, it's like almost probably historically, if you looked at the dog in NFC South divisional games, you'd probably be making some decent money.
I mean, one thing that, you've got a couple of teams this week playing off of wins, bad teams off wins, they get that monkey off their back, so to speak. And that's the situation the Saints are in.
Yeah. The Saints have already beaten Carolina 17-7. So there's warning signs with the Saints. Number one is they come off a big win. Number two is they already beat Carolina. Obviously, Carolina's not going to look past New Orleans anyway. They're in a dogfight for the race. But by the same token, if you look at the stats, look at Carolina's stats. Are they really a 7-6 team?
Well, if they win this week and the Bears lose, their playoff chances are higher than the Bears.
Yeah, understandable. But the sack ratio for Carolina is 18 sacks for, 30 sacks against. Their run defense is bottom tier. Bryce Young is having a fantastic year, but he's still only 63.4%, which means that he's middle of the pack as a quarterback, or just below middle of the pack as a quarterback. It's really not a 7-6 team. I'm not saying that New Orleans it's just a really tough game. Bottom line is it's almost a toss-up situation. I favor Carolina by maybe the slightest of margins, and I would probably take 3 in New Orleans or consider it.
Carolina could be 8-6.
Yeah. It just doesn't, their on-field performance doesn't equate to 8-6. But, they're better than New Orleans. They're higher power rated than New Orleans. That makes sense.
Oh. Sorry, I'm just grabbing a bunch of 125 here.
We're going to move the line. That's why I got my plays in before the show. Actually, I got them in on a long time ago.
So, can you believe that there's somebody in the league that's averaging 157 yards a game over the last 5 games, 9 touchdowns, 7.7 yards per touch?
What was that, 157?
Yeah, 157
on the ground. or not total.
I'm not sure. I think it's on the ground.
Yeah. 1001 to 1766. Yeah, that's the Lions.
That's pretty darn impressive. Remember, they made fun of the Lions for drafting him. Just amazing. They're down their 2 tight ends, and now they've lost their tight ends coach on top of it. He's going to go to college and be an offensive coordinator, I think, at Iowa State. Is that it?
Oh, okay.
I forget. I don't know. But they're rested. They have extra rest, but they lost Branch. He's out for the rest of the season. He was important to the defense. Rams are fighting for the division, and obviously with the Stafford Goff storyline, both teams will be up for this one. What do you make of that line?
Well, before I answer that question, what would you have made this line in August?
In August?
Yeah, before the season.
Oh, Rams 3, 2.5.
The Rams were underdog by 1.
Okay.
I was there. I saw it with my own 2 eyes, and I took the Rams +1 because they finally got the Lions at home.
Right.
What they played twice last year. One was the playoff loss, and the other one was the overtime game, or it was really close, whatever it was. Both games were close. Both games were in Detroit. Stafford and Goff, the whole thing. To me, this has to be a close game.
I don't know. I'm too close to it because I'm a Lions fan. I am paranoid that.
What I make of the line, by power ratings, I would have made it 6, but I really would have been surprised to see a 6. And now we see a 6.
Yeah, I just think it's a little higher than what it should be.
I'm just surprised they made it that way. I mean, that's the correct power rating line, but how could you do that in this series? Because Detroit's so explosive.
Well, there was a notable service release on the over, strong over, and that's scaled up to 55 and a half.
Yeah. And looking at this,
I don't see any value in that at this point.
No. The Lions have 3 extra days for whatever that's worth. So they could scheme. They'll probably have a trick play or 2 or this or that or whatever. The Rams are going to come at them with power, and they're going to try to mix up their pass rushes. They know Goff extremely well. They're going to be pass rushing up the middle and stuff like that. This is a game where Goff is going to be challenged. And Detroit's going to have to do the same against Stafford, get him out of his comfort zone.
If Carolina can beat them, the Lions can, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's only one way to look at +6. I mean, I'm glad I don't have to deal with the revenge factor at +6 because I don't see how you would want to lay the Rams. Maybe the Rams kill them, but it doesn't seem to me that this is the kind of game that you would want to lay 6 against that offense.
Tennessee changed their game last week. They had been having Ward throw the ball. I believe he only had 15 attempts last game, and they gave it to Pollard 35 times.
Seemed like that, huh? 14 for 28 for Cam Ward, and Pollard had 25 carries.
Oh, well, I don't know where I'm getting. 62.8% of all stats are made up on the spot anyway. So,
yeah, no receiver I think had more than 2 receptions for, and you can't even name a receiver on the team anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Not much to say here. I can't see.
I'll say this about San Francisco. Even though the number's correct in all this, San Francisco deserves to be favored by 12.5, but you consider that they played a fourth place schedule. Their stat sheet is not that good. I don't know where you have them rated offensively or defensively, but this is not a great stat sheet for the record that they have.
I actually have this line dead nuts on.
Yeah, me too.
I have San Francisco apps 14th or 15th.
Is that overall?
Yeah.
Yeah. How about defensively? We might differ here.
The same, 15th.
Ooh, I have them in like 27.
Oh, are you serious? What the hell?
They don't defend the pass. They don't go after the quarter. They're last in sacks.
Wow.
They're proficient against the run. They've held points down, but consider their level of competition. I really have them in a very low spot.
Well, I'm not going to lay the 12.5. You can't talk me into it.
Yeah, I'm trying hard. Nah, I'm passing the game.
Vikings, bad team off of a win. Looked like world beaters last week. They got the monkey off their back. How motivated are they going to be to go to Dallas? They've got quite the history, so there's no love lost between these teams.
No, Dallas found itself back in the race. They lose badly to the Lions. All that forward momentum is down the drain, which I expected. We talked about that a lot. And now they're feeling good again because Philly lost.
Their playoff chances only go up to 19%.
So JJ had a good game, McCarthy, last week. And now he faces a defense that allows more than 2 out of every 3 passes to be completed. We'll talk about a prop just for the fun of it. But if ever there's going to be a game where Justin Jefferson doesn't have 6 yards or 4 yards, this has got to be it, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
He had, I'm looking back, he had 47 yards, then he had 4 yards, and then he had 11 yards. He's had 15 yards in the last 2 games combined. Can you believe that?
I think some fantasy owners are a little upset.
Yeah, I would guess that if you have a prop where you have number of targets, here, let's go really off the beaten path for the 53rd consecutive week, that Jefferson's going to have a lot of targets this week.
CD Lamb, I think, was at practice today. He was on concussion protocol. I haven't seen if he's completely out of it.
He's lucky they played on a Thursday, so he has 10 days.
Yeah.
And that's a big important point. What did I say otherwise about this game? No, nothing other than I wouldn't feel comfortable betting on Dallas because of their defensive stats.
No. I hope the line goes to 7.
Yeah, I probably feel the same.
Dolphins and Steelers. Smoke and mirrors versus
what?
Miami's 5-1 their last 6 games. They were 4 for 4 in the red zone, plus 3 turnovers last game. Their playoffs chances can go all the way up to 2% if they're able to win. They've got a lot to play for.
Yeah, typical Miami, getting right there and then not getting there, huh?
What do you make this line?
I made 3.5.
Okay.
Correct line is 3. I made it 3.5. A couple of Miami situations, and I know Tua. He feels great. He won a game in 40-degree weather or whatever it was, 40-degree weather. It's not going to be 40 degrees in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it's going to be around 20.
Yeah. I have correspondents that live in Pittsburgh, obviously family members, and they would be outside in shorts if it was 40 degrees in Pittsburgh.
It's going to be a balmy 25 with no wind.
At night?
Yep.
Okay.
It's not that bad.
Not that bad. I know there's going to be a lot of people on Miami, but I won't be one of them.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's all I have. I got so much to do. Anything else to add?
No, interesting week. It's not coming off as dynamic as last week because we have so many high spreads. What are we down to in Circa Survivor? 10?
Down to 10.
And they're probably going to be pretty close to 10 after this week because they have a lot of double-digit favorites to choose from. So probably won't see much movement there.
Probably not. Probably not. It feels like a good teaser week. Last week was absolutely abysmal. So I think that kind of levels out this week. I see it seems like a lot of teaser type games, even though there's big spreads.
Well, last week, as we closed the show, I kind of mentioned to you, I said, last week I'm probably going to have 6 or 7 plays. And that's what happened after having 3 or 4. I won't have 6 or 7, but there are a lot of lines I'm kind of looking at eyeballing. But it's an interesting week from a spread standpoint, but I probably won't be involved. I know a lot of people like to be involved in it. I don't know if I'll be involved in any of the double-digit spreads.
Okay.
I mean, I know what not talking teases. Could you see yourself laying or taking any of the double-digit teams?
Yep.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Yep. If I see a 14 on the Jets, if I see
I'd be careful about Vegas.
No, not that one.
Indy, I know it depends on how much you compensate for the quarterback.
Yeah, I want to investigate that game more. You can certainly see, I mentioned it before. They've had 3 games that they've had 30-point leads in the first, by halftime. So the way Indianapolis's defense can be a turnstile sometimes is scary.
Yeah, it's a tough one. So tomorrow, on with Ted at noon again, Pacific time. We'll delve a little more in some of these games.
That sounds good. I'm going to try my best to make that. I know I've got an appointment next week. We get Saturday games to look forward to.
Ooh, more stuff. And as far as the question about Ole Miss, it's going to be a small bowl season for me. Half in that game, what is it? Ole Miss Tulane. It's a rematch, and neither coach will be there. Real exciting. No, I guess the Tulane's coach will be there. He's decided. Tulane's coach is really good, actually.
Hey, we did get the college. We did well on the college talk last week. I told you I had no idea why Tulane wasn't favored, and they blew them out. And
that was a good one.
Yeah.
No, we did well on the college. I mean, that was a good week for college. Last week of the year.
Appreciate everybody joining, and thanks for the great comments. And I apologize for not responding. I have not had time to go to YouTube comments and stuff, and it doesn't mean we don't appreciate it. I get to it when I can, and it's embarrassing that I don't get to it more often, but I really appreciate it.
Me too.
All right. Let's see you.